Herkese merhabalar. Rabia ben SRUK'den. Bugün Queen University Belfast'ta gerçekleştireceğimiz webinarımıza hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Okul temsilcimiz Thomas da aramıza katılmak üzere. Hi Thomas, welcome.
Hi Rabia, thanks for having me.
It's great. What about you?
Fine, thank you. Very well.
We can start with the presentation. After that, move on Q&A session.
Okay, fine.
Suitable for you. Great.
Okay, so first of all, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining. My name is Thomas Gamester. I'm a Senior International Officer at Queen's University Belfast in our international office. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Queen's, about the university, and specifically about what it means to be a Russell Group university, why that might be of interest to you, and also some of the opportunities that you will get as a result of choosing Queen's or choosing a Russell Group university in general. So I'll start really now just by talking about Belfast and the location. So before we talk about the university, about any opportunities, one of the most important things is choosing where you're going to study in terms of a location. And you can see there that Belfast is the capital city of Northern Ireland, part of the UK. So British education, British when it comes to currency, language, visas, etc., but a little bit different to the rest of the UK because we're on the island of Ireland there. The culture, I would say, is probably the biggest difference. The people, genuinely, you don't get the same kind of welcome in the rest of the UK that you get in Northern Ireland. But especially at the moment, with everything that is going on in terms of the financial trends around the world, Belfast could be very popular and very interesting because it is also the lowest cost of living. And so when you're looking at your own personal finances and choosing where to study, the cost, I'm sure, is a very big factor. And so it is incredibly good value for money in Northern Ireland. Your money does go further than other parts of the UK. Also one of the safest places in the UK. But in terms of kind of the size of the city, you can see there, the whole of Northern Ireland is just under 2 million people. And the capital city, Belfast, is about 340,000. The kind of metropolitan area of Belfast is more like 600,000. But I do appreciate for some people that may seem quite small depending on the city you're coming from. I can assure you, the UK is not full of these kind of mega cities, and Belfast as a city offers everything that you might be looking for in terms of, what you might want to do in your free time, access, transport links, etc. But you'll get a slightly more personalized feel being there because it's not so crazy busy like some other cities. And talking of links in terms of how you can get to Belfast and where you can go from Belfast, you can see there on this slide that Belfast is incredibly well connected to the UK, but also all around Europe. So most people flying in, if they're flying in from Turkey, you would fly in probably to London and then catch a short flight across, which is about 1 hour from London to Belfast. There are other options. You can go through Amsterdam, through Frankfurt, through Paris, but pretty much they all take the same time. And Belfast can be a really good hub for you if you're looking to explore the rest of the UK or Europe during your time of studying, because you're in a very good value place to live. You might have a bit more spare money, perhaps, that you can spend on traveling. And the cost of flights within the UK, it might be quite similar in Turkey. I'm not 100% sure, but actually domestic flights between cities is really quite cheap. So I would fly from London to Belfast normally for about £30, something like that. So just because it's a flight, it
cheaper than in Turkey.
Sorry?
It is cheaper than Turkey.
Okay. I mean, it's not always £30, but I would say that in general, in the UK, taking flights is quite often cheaper than taking the train. A train ride from London to Manchester could easily be £100. For example. So just because it's a flight, it shouldn't be a reason to not consider, because actually it's just as connected as other parts of the UK. Now, before we talk about the actual university, I just have a few bits of information about the city, and some of them quite nicely linking into the job opportunities when you finish graduating. So first of all, hopefully you can see here, Belfast is a very diverse city. Its international population has doubled in the last 15 years, and partly that is because of the university, but also it's because I think of industry and companies who are, opening offices, branch offices, etc., within Belfast, giving our students a wonderful opportunity for finding somewhere to work when they graduate. I think the reality is in the UK, although some students do move between cities when they finish studying to find a job, a lot of students are looking to find a job in the same city that they study in because they know it already, they're comfortable there, they've been there for a number of years. And Belfast could offer students really something quite special because outside of London, Belfast is the #1 city for attracting foreign investment in the UK. Probably that's partly to do with the geographical location. It's also probably the cost. So for companies, it is significantly cheaper for them to open offices and branches in Northern Ireland. But it means our students at Queen's, they have an opportunity during their time of studying to get to, search for a job, to meet potential employers who are based in Belfast. And out of the 2 universities in Northern Ireland, Queen's is by a long way the most prestigious, the highest ranked university. So our graduates are very highly desirable. And as a university, we do as much as we can to introduce our students during their study time to these potential opportunities if you're looking to find a job and some kind of employment after graduating. Of course, you might not be, and that's not an issue. The name of Queen's and being a Russell Group university will be well known all around the world. But if you're looking to stay in the UK, first of all, it can be hard to find a job where the salary is high enough for you to live. That's one of the issues. In some bigger cities, let's say London, for example, finding a job with a salary of 25 or 30,000 pounds a year, it's really going to be quite hard to live in London on that salary because the rent is so high. In Belfast, it's much more affordable, and so you can find that with a salary of maybe between 24 and 30,000 pounds a year, actually you can live quite nicely and hopefully progress through your career. You can also see in this image, it gives you an idea of what Belfast is like. It's a nice shot at night time, but it is a built up city, and there is a lot to do there in your downtime and when you have some free time. Now I'm going to just whiz through these images quite quickly. It's just to give you a flavor of what the city is like. So we have various areas of the city in Belfast. We have the Titanic Quarter, which is obviously where the Titanic shipyard, the docks are, where they built the Titanic. We have the Cathedral Quarter, which is a wonderful area for students in particular, especially in the summer times. Lots of cafes and restaurants and bars, etc. We have the Linen Quarter, which is a kind of historical area of the city. And then the area where students would spend the majority of their time would be the University Quarter, where you have the main university campus. You have the Botanic Gardens, you have some museums there. But talking of campus, I will talk about it a bit later. Belfast is a little bit unique in that it feels like a campus, but actually because the university is older than a lot of the city has come up around the university. And so everything is very, very well connected. You can go anywhere pretty much that you want to go in the city walking within 20 minutes. From your accommodation to the university, maybe from the city centre to the main university building. Even to come in from Belfast City Airport in a taxi is only 10 minutes. So it's really very kind of compact and very convenient. From day one, when you arrive, you can explore the city on foot. There's no need for a lot of travel. There's no need for a car unless you want one. And so it's really very kind of accessible for you as a student. And then, of course, you have the city centre area where you have these large markets, shopping centres, etc. Lots of things for you to do. So let's talk a bit about the actual university. As I mentioned, Queen's is quite an old university. We were established in 1845, so we're the 9th oldest in the UK, established by Queen Victoria. And one of the most important things I mentioned, which I will now go into a bit more detail, is that we are a very proud member of the Russell Group, which is a group of top research-intensive universities. And you may or may not be aware of what that means, But the Russell Group is a group of 24 universities where research and trying to produce world-leading research is really at the forefront of their ideas and the way that they operate and the way they teach. Now, what that means for you as a student is the staff you have teaching you, the academics, the professors, etc., they are producing some of the world-leading research coming out of the UK. So it means you are being taught by staff who are really at the very best forefront of their field. They're not catching up, they are leading the field. So first of all, it gives you access to, world-leading teaching staff. But I think more than that, the Russell Group, which is only 24 universities out of around 150 in total in the UK, the Russell Group produces around 2/3, about 66% of all of the world-leading research that comes out of the whole of the UK. And as a result of that, they receive about 2/3, roughly, of all of the funding that comes in. And what that funding means and what that money means is the universities can invest in the very best facilities for students to use. So if you want to study something in engineering, or something in science, let's say, or in medicine, you will be in labs which are, in millions and millions of pounds have been spent on these facilities, and you can use them as part of your studying to make the most, I guess, of your experience. I was recently having a tour around one of our facilities on campus, and it was to do with food security. And there was 30 or 40 million pounds of equipment in that building. And those are the kind of facilities that students get to use on a day-to-day basis. It's not only that. So in other areas, we have, for example, a moot court, which is for students studying law. So you get the chance to learn in, as close as possible to a real kind of courtroom scenario. And so the investment that Russell Group universities really gets invested into facilities that students can make the most of. Even if you're an undergraduate student or a master's student, it's not only for the PhD students. Actually, everyone can make the most of those facilities. And if you're interested in becoming involved in research, you can do that to some extent, even as an undergraduate student and definitely as a master's student. And so that's really, I guess, one of the key things about choosing a Russell Group university. The facilities you will find on campus will probably be some of the leading facilities in the UK because they have the investment to spend on those kind of facilities. Queen's is in the middle of a £700 million investment plan of new facilities for students, and they're quite a long way through that investment. So you think about what that money can buy. It's actually not just academic facilities. It means we have amazing accommodation facilities, a fantastic kind of student union center where you have also careers services and our finance hub and all that kind of thing. And so, you can benefit as a student from all of those facilities by choosing a Russell Group university. And the other thing I would say is that the Russell Group, sometimes it's considered to be like the British Ivy League that you get in the US, the equivalent of the Ivy League, but it's something which is recognized by employers. If you are a graduate from a Russell Group university, that will count for something when you're applying for a job. And so the Russell Group is really a kind of benchmark. If you're looking for the top universities in the UK, that's what you should go for. As you can see further down the slide, you can see that we are a top 200 global university. And I have a little bit more information later about rankings, but I don't want to spend too long talking about it. We are ranked 85 in the world in our education impact rankings. And we have around 25,000 students with nearly 4,000 international students from over 90 different countries. Now, 25,000 students, I would say, is maybe a medium-sized university in the UK. It is not huge, but the percentage of international students we have, it means that as a student coming to us, we are not at a point where we have a huge percentage of international students. And so you will still get the chance to interact with not only students from around the world, but also British students and get that real British university experience. You can see that, that puts us at somewhere around 23% sorry, not about 18% international students, something like that, which is quite low compared to a lot of other universities, also compared to a lot of other Russell Group universities. The very last thing, in my opinion, that you should do coming to study in the UK is try to spend all your time with other Turkish students. You need to make the most of the experience. And so choose a university where there will be other students from your country, because everyone needs that sometimes. But really, you want to kind of make networks and connections with people from all over the world, including the UK and Ireland. So that's an overview, a background really about the university. I'm now just going to very quickly run through the kind of subject areas that we have on offer. And just to talk about the Russell Group universities again, you will probably find that Russell Group universities, they tend to have the slightly more traditional set of subjects available. We may not offer every single subject, so it depends what you're looking for, but the kind of traditional subject areas such as, if I go through our faculties, this is our first faculty, so it's the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences. We only have 3 faculties. But within each faculty, we have a number of different schools, and in every school, we have a number of different programs. So you'll find in this faculty one very popular school, which is the School of Medicine, Dentistry and Biomedical Sciences. I'm sure you're aware, if anybody is interested in studying medicine, it's probably you need to contact SI UK and have a serious conversation, because it's not something you can just apply for without thinking. It's a very long program. The numbers are capped. There's a very limited number of places for medicine and for dentistry. It's the most expensive program. There are very rarely any scholarships. And so you have to be, a very serious student. You have to show through your schooling, through your extracurricular activities, lots of very high grades, but also then you have an interview, etc. So medicine is a very popular area, but really you need a serious consultation with somebody about if you are fit to, if you can, I guess, if you could be considered for a place. We also have School of Pharmacy, School of Biological Sciences, and then Nursing and Midwifery, all very popular, and a range of programs at undergraduate, but also at postgraduate level in all of these schools. The second faculty that we have is our Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences, a very popular faculty, and you can see it contains some schools related to engineering and sciences and a few others. So chemistry and chemical engineering, we have the School of Maths and Physics, the School of Natural and Built Environment, and this would include architecture and a few other programs, of course, at postgraduate level, urban planning. We have a construction and project management program. We have the School of Electronics, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science that we call EECS. And this is an incredibly popular area where you have things like cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, some program areas that are very, very, I guess, popular at the moment, because there's a huge demand for graduates coming out to get a, to employ them into certain roles. Cybersecurity is a relatively new area. At Queen's, the way that you learn is, for example, we have a closed network so that students can experience a cyber attack on a closed network and learn how to deal with it. And that's about as real as it gets, so that when you go into the real world to work, you have that proper experience of what it's like to actually do it, not just in theory. In our computer science building, in the entire computer science building for undergrad and postgrad, there is only one lecture theatre. The rest of it is computer labs. We have a smart city made of Lego that students can use. There are other working areas, but it just gives you an idea that there are not lots and lots of sit-down lectures. It is a very, very practical experience, and that is partly because of the facilities that we can invest in because we're part of the Russell Group. I can just see a question coming in about studying LLM. I will try to get to that as I get to the faculty about where we talk about law. Within the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences, one thing that I also want to just mention is we have a number of master's programs where it's actually a 2-year master's instead of 1 year. Most master's programs in the UK are 1 year, but we have some that are 2 years, but you still only study for 1 year. You only pay 1 year of fees, but you have a visa for 2 years. and you do 1 year of studying and then 1 year of paid employment. That
Great
means...
opportunity for international students.
Sorry, say again?
Great opportunity for international students.
It is. It's fantastic because what it means is you can do your studying for 1 year, you can work for 1 year, then you can apply for your post-study working visa and work for another 2 years. So it means you can actually work potentially for 3 years before you have to think about kind of visa issues of reapplying and getting a sponsor, things like that. And there are a number of programs with this professional internship available. And so we could obviously go through that in more detail or another time, or you could obviously contact SI UK to ask. But if you're looking for the employment opportunities, that extra time working, often it can lead to an employment afterwards because you've had 2.5 or 3 years to work with the same employer and they have a really good idea that they actually want you as one of their employees. The third faculty we have, and I promise I will go to the questions. So the last faculty we have is the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. And this has a wide-ranging number of different schools within it. So we have the School of Arts, English and Languages. We have History, Anthropology, Philosophy and Politics. We also have the Management School, which houses all of our business programs. So it could be anything to do with marketing, accounting, management, international business, things like that. Our undergraduate program, our most popular undergraduate program, I believe most popular in the business area, is a 4-year program where there is a mandatory compulsory internship in year 3, paid again. So students still only pay for 3 years of fees for their undergraduate program. There is a small fee that you pay for the internship year, but it means that you have to do it. We obviously assist you to help you find your internship, but it means when you finish your bachelor's degree, you are just a little bit more qualified than other bachelor's graduates from around the UK because you have a full year, paid year of work experience within your degree. It used to be an option, and then we changed it and made it compulsory because it was so beneficial to the students that it can really open the door to employment opportunities afterwards, just because you have that little bit more than everybody else. We also have the School of Law here, and I noticed a question about law, and the School of Social Sciences, Education and Social Work. So just to try to answer a couple of the questions that have come in, at the bottom question I can see, how many international students do you have? We have about 3,900, so just nearly 4,000, and they are from approximately 90 different countries. I hope that answers your question. The second one I can see is, can I postpone or transfer to another course after my course starts? I think, I guess the short answer is technically it's possible, but it does depend which courses, and it does depend how far you are through your course. So if you do a first year in electrical engineering and then suddenly you decide you want to study philosophy, you cannot go straight through into year 2 because you haven't done everything you need in year 1. If it's a connected program or related program, then you might be allowed to transfer. But it's, I guess in general, very much the UK system is that you choose your degree and then you go through it for 3 years and you graduate. It's different to, let's say, the American system where you do 2 years of general education and then you choose your specialization for year 3 and 4. In the UK, because it's only a 3-year degree, you have to pretty much choose before you start. There is some flexibility, but not as much if you're comparing to the US. But I mean, a really good question. I think it's important that you know at least which area you want to study. So, you know, if you're studying engineering, stick within engineering. Something in the business school, stick within, you know, business, etc. So the question here is, I want to study the LLM, the Masters in Law. If I study at Queen's University, Belfast, could you give us career pathways? So I think, again, it does depend where you want to work. So a lot of law students do want to go back to their home country and work. And I think it might be something that we could explore, whether there is recognition in Turkey, whether the degrees are recognized so that you can be a practicing, you know, go and do the bar council exam and be a practicing lawyer. If you're looking to work in the UK with an LLM, I mean, traditionally you would go, and we have very good connections with law firms. So law firms like Baker McKenzie and Allen and Overy, you know, are the partners, some of the partners that we work with, and we can introduce our students to these kind of partners during their program. I would also say, though, that the kind of skills you get in a law degree, you don't have to work in specifically related as a lawyer or a barrister. You could be looking for employment in kind of Big Four, PwC type companies just because of the skill set you have, not necessarily, having to look to be, a practicing lawyer working for a law firm. Most companies need some kind of legal advice or representation at some time. And so you really have kind of wide open doors. If anybody would like to, we could probably connect you with somebody from one of our schools or some of our students, possibly, if you'd like a follow-up kind of conversation to ask them, the opportunities that they're getting as a student. So I hope that gives some answer to your question. We can always, if anybody would like, we can arrange a follow-up call. When should I apply for undergraduate study at Queen's? Well, the good news is, apart from for certain courses, let's say like medicine and dentistry, you can still apply now for this September if you'd like to. We have two ways of doing it. You can apply through UCAS, or you can apply directly to us, not through UCAS. I would recommend, using a trusted partner like SIUK, because they will help you with the application, but also with the visa, possibly with, booking your flights and transfers and things like that, I guess. So just somebody who can help you with the whole kind of journey. But we have, having that direct option means you don't have to go through UCAS if you don't want to. If you're looking to start this September, actually, you still have time. It's only kind of mid-April now. The UCAS deadline, I think, is the 18th of May. And places will start disappearing, obviously, on the very popular programs as you progress through the year. So don't leave it too late. And you apply before you have your results. For most programs, undergrad and postgrad, apply before you finish high school or before you finish your bachelor's degree. And then as soon as you get your results, you just upload them, and then we change your offer to be unconditional. So you can apply anytime. If you're looking to apply for next year, so September 24, normally we would open in late September 23. So approximately 1 year in advance, you can start applying. More information about transportation to the city centre. So if you're going from the university, you can walk. It takes about 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes if you're a fast walker. You can take a bus. It's very, very reasonably priced. It's only £1 or £2, I think, to take a bus. They have these Belfast bikes that you can go and you give your details, and you can basically hire them for like 30 minutes or an hour, and then just leave them in a dock in another location. So it's very easy. If you're trying to get to the city centre from the airport, from Belfast City Airport, it takes 10 minutes in a taxi, costs about £12. And if you're going from Belfast International Airport, it's a bit longer. It's about 35 minutes, and it costs about £35–40. But the city is very small. I'll try and show you. I have got a video later, but I guess the sound won't work probably. The next question, do you have partner companies for internships? Yes, we do. Internships, if you have a placement as part of your program, they are never 100% guaranteed. But my advice is, if you are showing willing as a student, you're kind of updating your CV, taking advantage of practice interview techniques and things like that, pretty much all our students who try hard, they do get a placement, but nobody can 100% guarantee it. No university will do that. Now, I see a question about scholarships and foundation programs and things like that. It's a great question. Scholarships and prices I have at the end of the presentation. I will get to that and show you, because it's useful, I think, to see on a screen instead of just listening to me kind of giving you a load of different numbers. And then you have a question about a foundation program. If you're looking for an undergraduate degree, depending on your high school results, sometimes we can consider you for direct entry without a foundation program. I'd have to check the requirements, but you need to have a pretty high GPA. But even if not, we have a partner called Into University Partnerships, and they offer on-campus foundation with us. And during even your foundation program, you'd have full access to the university facilities, sports and library and clubs and societies and things like that. So the foundation is a very, very nice way for you to, I guess, get acclimatized to the city and to what it's like living in Belfast. So yes, definitely we have that. And I will come to fees at the end, I promise, so you can get to see what they are. I guess I'll just very quickly go through some of these rankings. I mentioned that we're a top 200 university. You will traditionally find that the Russell Group universities are the higher ranked universities in the UK. That's just how it is. You can see we have 15 of our subjects that are also ranked individually in the top 200 in the world. In the UK rankings, we have a number of subjects that are ranked in the top 10 or top 20 overall, ranging from things like dentistry and pharmacy to medicine, electrical engineering, architecture, criminology, anthropology, things like that, social policy. And what you'll notice is these rankings are actually across all of the 3 faculties. We are not a university that has one really good, highly ranked program and the rest are average. Actually, across the board in all the different faculties, Queen's is very well respected. In the different UK rankings, you can see on the left there that we are ranked 28th in the UK in the Times, 24th in the Complete University Guide, and 46th in the Guardian. Just to give you an idea of how UK rankings work, they are all quite different in terms of how they determine it. And so you will quite often find that the rankings within the UK can be a little bit different for one university across 3 different ranking tables. Now, we did have a question about kind of internships and companies we work with. So we have, first of all, institutional partners. That would be other universities that we work with. We have over 250 of those worldwide. That could be for research. It could be for exchange programs. But more than that, we have over 3,000 different employers globally that we actively work with. Of course, we don't bring them all into campus every week because that would just be a bit crazy. But you can see on the slide there some of the companies that we work with, and a lot of those are multinational, very well-known companies. We talked about law, so you can see in the middle there, Allen and Overy, a very well-known law firm. We have various other companies like Bombardier there. What else do we have that people would recognize? Caterpillar, I guess PwC, even some big kind of Audi, Barclays Bank, Morgan Stanley, so a real range of partners. But I just want to explain what we do with them. So we try to give our students the best opportunity. First of all, our partners have in the past helped us to determine what the program should look like that students are learning. Because the most important thing is that when a student comes out, they have exactly the skills that the industry is looking for. So we work with our partners. One of the best examples is our trading room, I guess, and the kind of fintech industry within finance. So we have a trading room in our management school, which has, I think, 12 or 13 of the Bloomberg terminals, the exact same terminals that you would work on if you're got a job working in investment banking, I guess, working on stocks and shares. So you can learn on the same equipment and facilities that you would then use in your work. That is sponsored by a local company. And our students even get the chance as a student, if they join a specific society, they get a chance to invest real money during their time at Queen's. So it's not this kind of theoretical, I could do really well. They get a chance to invest a real fund, which is about 30 or 40,000 pounds as a group, and to see how they do at the end. And I'm very happy to say that normally they have very good returns. But the point is that they can go for a job interview and say, yes, I've used these facilities and this equipment. Yes, I have experience of successfully investing and making money. And that puts them a step above a lot of other graduates. So this is one of the ways we work, that our partners, they help us to determine what the program should be, what content it should be. But also we bring in partners as often as we can to careers fairs and talks and presentations and things like that, just so that our students get the chance from a very early stage, as early as they want really, to try to connect with potential employers. We can prepare students as much as possible, but at the end of the day, the student has to go and do an interview for the job themselves. We're not there with them. So we do as much as we can in the background to help their CV, to help with interview techniques, with putting them in front of good employers. And then we think that our students will then impress because of the experience they've got on their program when they go for interview. So these are just some of the partners that we work with. I will just put a plug to our website, which is qub.ac.uk. I think I can put it in here, actually. Hope you can see that. And that's our main website. Do have a look at it, because there's information about every program, about, you know, successful graduates and all that kind of thing. But I just thought I'd put that in. Now, moving on from links with industry, I was going to talk a bit about our campus. Again, I have a video. I probably won't show it because there's no point. But I'll send it on to SI UK so they can share it afterwards. And that's the video there. But we'll move on from that to talking about our accommodation, which is a big part of our campus and your student experience. First of all, I've already said it's one of the lowest costs of living. Thank you. That's fantastic for putting that up. But we have different types of accommodation depending on what you need, whether you're an undergraduate student, whether you're a postgraduate student. You might want, for example, single-sex accommodation, alcohol-free accommodation. We have all these different options that we can try and accommodate for you. I've already said as well that it's normally, our accommodation is normally no more than 15 minutes walking from the main university building. So it's very, very convenient and very close. The picture you can see here, that's a good question, actually, I've just seen come in. The picture that you can see here is our Elms BT9 student village, which is normally considered mainly for undergraduate students, not only, but mostly undergraduate students. The other options that we have, so that's BT9, and as I mentioned, you can ask for things like no alcohol blocks, single sex, quiet living. Normally you're in a kind of flat in a building with 4 or 5 other people, but you have a private room, private bathroom. You know, it's a very nice kind of space for yourself, and then you share the common areas. We have city centre accommodation in BT1 and BT2. Now, BT is just the postcode area of the city. So BT9 is in one location, BT1 and BT2 are city centre locations, brand new purpose-built buildings, really quite amazing facilities. In all our accommodation, your electricity, gas, if it's there, Wi-Fi, water, everything is included. The only thing which is not included is your food. And you also get an off-peak membership to the Queen's sports facilities. And like I said, the majority of rooms are also en suite. So you have a private room and a private bathroom. We don't have very many shared rooms. It's not so popular in the UK. There are a few studio apartments. But if anybody is looking to travel, for example, with their family, maybe you might be a postgraduate student, generally we can give some advice on where to look, but we don't have too many options, which is actually managed by the university. Most people coming with children or with a partner would choose some private accommodation. I've got a few images here just to give you an idea of what the accommodation is like. These are real pictures. This is, you can see you have a private room, desk, kind of shelving, storage area, etc., a nice private bathroom, and then you can see in the kind of bottom right, I guess, second in from the right, and in the middle too, you can see that you have this kind of common area, living room, kitchen, etc., where you get to know people in your apartment, where you can entertain and socialize and things like that. So it's really very clean, very nice, and very, very good value, especially if you compare to other parts of the UK. You could be looking at maybe £4,000 or £5,000 a year less than London, let's say, for cost of living. And imagine if you do a bachelor's degree across 3 years, you're going to spend probably £15,000 or more less than some other locations. And so it's very good quality and very low cost. The other thing I would just mention is that it's not just a case, so Queen's as a university, we are Russell Group, we are research intensive. However, one of the most important things is that our students are looked after, that they have all the support they need, if it's academic support or if it's pastoral support, some support with something to do with your life, with your mental health, with your accommodation, anything like that. We have a residential life team that live in our accommodation and are there 24 hours a day for emergencies to help. And they also will organize some social activities to get people to know each other. They will do simple things like when you first arrive, they might help you and show you and even take you to the local supermarket, or maybe you're looking for somewhere specifically that has halal food. These simple things when you arrive can really make a difference to your whole experience. And of course, we will do that. Our clubs and societies will do that through an induction program. But the residential life team are basically there for you if you just need someone to chat to. during your time studying. And at the bottom of the screen, you can see there's kind of these coffee bars and in the accommodation, some social spaces that you can just come to maybe talk to the residential life team, or maybe just to get to know some other students as well. I think that's probably it for accommodation. There is a link there. Obviously, there's a QR code and things like that, but it's basically just you can go onto our website and do /accommodation, and then that's where you find all the information. Now, we had the question about fees and scholarships. I'm just going to go back to a question first that came in about can I study abroad during my study in your school? Generally, yes. So we have partner institutions. You couldn't do the whole program abroad, obviously, but you should be able to go for a semester or two. You would speak to, let's see, somebody within the school and see about the opportunities there. It's something that I could explore and talk to you about afterwards if you're interested. But I think the opportunity as a general answer is there for you to do to get an experience. Which English exams do you accept? Now, I'm going to try something. Can you still hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to take you and just try to kind of do a demo, I guess, of navigating to find out which English exams we accept. So on our website, we have a page here, which is English language requirements. And if you scroll down, you can see really a very long list of accepted qualifications. So IELTS, of course, TOEFL, Cambridge, IGCSEs if you have it, Password. We don't accept Duolingo anymore. That's not being accepted for this year, but we do accept things like Language Cert, Pearson, Trinity, etc. So a real wide range of options for which English language qualifications we accept. And what I will do is I will just try and pop that in the chat there if anybody wanted to look in their free time. The other question is, do you offer a joint degree? So it depends what you mean. If you mean a joint degree in terms of two different subjects, then the answer is yes, we do, but you can't combine any two subjects. There are a range of kind of joint programs, dual honours that you can try. Often it's with a language or two subject areas that are a bit connected. So I guess the simple answer is yes, but not any combination. You couldn't do, for example, medicine and astronomy, or something like that. So within reason, yes, we do offer some joint programs. If you mean joint with another university, I believe the answer is yes. I don't have any information about specifically which institutions or what programs you could do, but that's something that I could find out and let you know. It depends really what you mean by your question. So let's talk a little bit about the fees, and we had questions about the cost and scholarships and things like that. So I'm going to just go through that now. So for undergraduate programs, for a bachelor's degree, there are really two main fees. So the lower one there, the bottom one there, the higher amount is for medicine or dentistry. It's always higher. And I have to say there are very few or no scholarships for medicine. But the top two levels, we have what's called classroom-based, and that's any subject area that is, I guess, in a classroom and not involving any lab work, so not a science or engineering program. And those fees are currently sitting at, for this year, 18,800 per year. These are the gross fees before any discounts. And then we have laboratory-based, which would be engineering, science, biological sciences, things like that. And that's 23,100 per year. And this is pounds, British pounds. So those are the gross fees per year that you would pay for your program, just for the tuition fee. Now, we also have a number of scholarships here. I'm going to try my best to explain them as kind of simply as possible, because I know it can get a little bit confusing. For fee rate 1, that's what we call classroom-based. There is an international office scholarship, so an automatic discount of £2,500. If you're doing that's in your first year of study. If you're doing a laboratory-based program, fee rate 2, so science or engineering, then you get an automatic discount of £3,000, and that's without applying. You don't have to apply for that. It will be automatically added. We also have something called the Vice Chancellor's International Attainment Scholarship, and that is significantly higher. So that is a 50% discount across all your years of studying of an undergraduate degree. So half the money off, basically. To apply for that, you have to have an offer first, and then you have to submit a 2-minute video. And there are some guidelines on our website about what the video should have in it. But it's basically why Queen's, why you've chosen your subject area. I would give some advice, which is to use the 2 minutes as best you can. Do not use 30 seconds to introduce yourself and talk about your background and all your family members and things like that, because it's not relevant to your scholarship application. Try to be as clear as possible and talk as much as possible. Do some research, look on the website, look at your program, look at some of the benefits of the program and things like that, and then submit your video. We also have a family scholarship, which is a 20% reduction in the first year. And that is if you have a family member who has studied, parent or sibling who studied at Queen's. And then we also have the Early Commitment Award. Now, this is something you can add on to the top 2 scholarships. So if you get the International Office Scholarship, you can increase it by adding another £1,500 if you pay the balance of your first year fees by the end of June. Or for undergraduate students, because of course you're not unconditional if you're doing A-levels or if you're doing IB until later in the year, 5 days after your offer becomes unconditional. So the first International Office Scholarship, which is £2,500, if you want to take advantage of the Early Commitment Award, you can add another £1,500, so the total discount would be £4,000. I do have a slide here which hopefully explains it a little bit better. So if you're looking at classroom-based, the initial fee is £18,800. Take away the International Office Scholarship, and then if you want to take away the Early Commitment Award, if you want to pay the balance by the deadline, your fees will go down to £14,800 for your first year. For lab-based programs, what we call fee rate 2, you start at £23,100. There is a £3,000 discount, plus if you want an additional £1,500, so your fees could go down to £18,600. This is for your first year of study. And then there is something which is a merit-based scholarship. And I believe you have to hit 70 or 75% each year. If you get that in year 1, you will then be awarded a £2,000 discount in year 2. If you get that average GPA in year 2, you'll get a discount in year 3. So it depends on how you perform in the previous year. So that's undergraduate. Then to look at postgraduate, and I am sorry because this small table is probably quite hard to read, especially if you're on a phone or something like that. But basically, it's quite similar that we have classroom-based and laboratory-based fees, £19,100 for postgraduate and £23,150 for lab-based postgraduate. Now, the International Office Scholarships are similar, but at postgraduate level, it's £2,000 and £3,000. So £2,000 for fee rate 1, £3,000 for fee rate 2. But for the management school, the fees are slightly different. So you can see here that the average price for management school programs is normally roughly fee rate 2, so £23,100, or accounting and finance, which is higher, which is £24,300. That, I have to say, is actually wrong. The MBA is not quite that high. I believe it's closer to 25,000. But in terms of scholarships that we have, and this is where it gets quite interesting, because a postgraduate program, a master's degree, is only 1 year. We have the International Office Scholarships of 2,000 and 3,000. We have the Family Scholarship. We have the Loyalty Scholarship, which is if you do your bachelor's degree with us and then you stay with us for your master's degree, you get 20% discount. We have the Vice Chancellor's Award, which is a 50% discount. And again, the process to apply is the same. You have to do a video application. But we also have, particularly, so for any student from Turkey who's applying for a program in the management school, including MBA or any business program for a master's degree, can get a £5,000 discount automatically without any application, without any video submission or essay or anything like that. And if you want to, you can add the 1,500 Early Commitment Award to that. So you could get a discount of up to 6,500. Of course, if you're not studying in the management school, you still get the other international office scholarships, but that's 2,000 or 3,000. So again, I'm going to just show you a kind of a rough calculation here. This is not for a management school program. This is for a general fee rate 1 or fee rate 2. But you can see that if your fees are £19,100 for a 1-year master's program in a Russell Group university, it could go down as low as 15,600. And you should do your research. You should compare universities. You will find that for a Russell Group university for a master's program, that is incredibly good value, especially with the cost of living in Belfast. Your total cost for a master's degree is probably going to be about 22 or 23,000 if it's a fee rate 1 program, including your accommodation. Accommodation is about £5,500–6,000 for a year normally. If you're doing a lab-based program, it's a little bit higher, but your fees are still 18,600, which if you compare to other Russell Group universities, again, you will find is very, very, very reasonable. I hope that kind of explains some of the questions about fees and scholarships. The other thing just to talk about is PhD fees, very similar, classroom and lab based. I don't know if anyone in the audience is looking for a PhD, but if they are, I would really suggest that you have a one-on-one consultation, that you contact SI UK, we arrange a call, I can speak to you one-on-one, because PhDs are so different to undergrad or to master's programs that you probably need to speak kind of individually rather than just a kind of a general question. So again, I have a lovely video, which I'm probably not going to show because you won't hear it. I apologize for the kind of technical issue there, but I'll send it on in case anybody wants to watch it. And that's pretty much all I have to say. So I hope that was useful. I guess that the key takeaway is if you're looking for a quality university, one of the best universities in the UK, the Russell Group is a benchmark of that quality. But it also gives you the benefit of knowing that you're going to be in some of the best facilities in the UK and that you're going to get to use those as part of your degree, so that when you come out of your studying, it might be 3 years, it might be 1 year, you will be equipped with all of the kind of practical skills and the knowledge that you need to be successful. And if anyone wanted any further information, let's arrange a one-on-one call. If you're still interested in starting this year, there is definitely still time for the majority of programs, and we can talk to you about the next steps if you're interested. So
thank you very much, Thomas. It was very useful information for our students. I guess you covered all of the questions.
Yeah, I hope that was okay. I just thought I'd do them as we go, as I saw them coming in.
Yes, thank you very much. If you have any related questions about Queen's University Belfast or studying in UK, please feel free to contact the SI UK. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Okay, thanks everyone. Really nice to speak to you. Thank you, Rabia.
Thank you. Webinarımıza katıldığınız için çok teşekkür ederiz. SI UK ile beraber Birleşik Krallığa dair tüm eğitim planlamanızı ücretsiz bir şekilde gerçekleştirebilirsiniz. Görüşmek üzere, iyi akşamlar.